Let me encourage everybody, if you want to follow along with what DTI and Tom Busby are looking at, make sure you go to dtitrader.com/telegram. And of course, I want to encourage everyone to join our live presentation over on YouTube. Welcome into our YouTube guest this morning. Going ahead and clicking in there. Make sure you like and subscribe. dtitrader.com/YouTube. Also, feel free to participate in the chat. Get some likes and subscribes going on already. So, really enjoy having you guys in there. It's a fun way to begin the day, Tom. We got a couple little side chats going on. Now, those chats and of course this presentation will involve talking about markets, and whenever we talk about markets we have to make this pretty clear. There is a very high degree of risk involved in trading, and that's especially so in a market like this one. So keep your eyes on the ball. Remember that there is always another day. Consider risk whenever you're trading. You and you alone are going to be responsible for the decisions you make, so make responsible decisions. Past performance is not indicative of future results, or at least not always and not necessarily, so keep that in mind as we go through as well. Couple big points here. Number one, crude opened last night 91.38. Overnight high 94.84. A little bit shy of the number Tom gave us in TNT this morning. He's looking for anything above 95.55. Watch out. That's a big number in that market. This day and three more to finish March. We've got today, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday to finish out the month. And of course, the big news is Iran. Now, this is becoming, Tom, a mathematician's market. I love stats in the market. I like doing the math to figure out things, and these key levels are becoming a little bit more important. The FTD high, the month open at 68.20, the FTD low at 67.1875. We're a bit away from those numbers right now, but they could come back. One big one I think that people should pay attention to, 65.57, 5% below the open of the year, and get this, two ATRs below the open of the month. So kind of fits in nicely. Tom stressed this morning the open of the week at 65.10. We're, of course, above that. And you can't forget the low of the year, 64.8350. The markets are marching on. Tom, your pivot number at 64.45 is one ATR above the open of the week. So, as I said, this is a mathematician's dream. We're looking at this thing going, ooh, all these numbers are adding up. These levels fit mathematically in the market. And we've reached a time point where it becomes sort of a battleground for the market. We're going to put the bulls and the bears in the pit and see who comes out. Now, let me get Tom's opinion on this. Tom, I know that you're more of a news guy and a sentiment guy, but when that math starts coming in, I get excited when I see that because it makes the market make a little bit more sense. How do you come at that from more of a trader's perspective?
Well, Chuck, to trade successfully, you got to have you either got to take a couple strategies, okay? And selling premium is typically a good way to pick up money in a normal. If we were less than 20, we could pick up money all day at the price of some of these options. The problem is, I mean, if you watch crude trade today, it's 93.95. The rally where the S&P went up to what, 66, 18, 20, that midpoint area, crude was trying to break that 92.55 low, and now it's at 94. So it's come up $1.50 since that time period. And what has the S&P done? 66.16 down to 65.90, which is another big number. But this is, in my opinion, the only market that's trending right now is grain market. And I told you that yesterday. And great educational time to learn about it. But that's the only market trending out there that I find. You can make some short-term plays here and there, but generally speaking, they're not prevalent. One bright stock today is Apple. Apple, this morning broke out above 254. It's currently 256. And so you say, why are they buying Apple? Yesterday they were buying AMD, and now today they're selling AMD. So it's like what is the Mag? You got the Mag 7. Looks like only 7 people with big money, and only one of us got money left, and he's going from stock to stock in the Mag 7.
Little musical chairs, if you will, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And so, for retail right now, this is more of a futures market than it is a stock market, in my opinion, because it happens so quick. I mean, like you're at 65.95, crude's at 94.13. Just not something you can respond to with options, because unless you get it pinpointed, and you can do it every now and then, like we did yesterday on that live trading. But it's pretty interesting because I believe that the opportunities to find what I call the low-hanging fruit, there's no low-hanging fruit. And therefore, you got this news overhanging. What's everybody worried about? If I asked everybody in here, you'd tell me the uncertainty that's going to happen by tomorrow's close, right? Huh? Isn't that what everybody's thinking about? Not thinking about anything right now, but what's going to happen tomorrow's close? Does we make an announcement, we got a trade deal, or not a trade deal, a peace deal, or do we make an announcement that I don't know. There's a lot of ways that can go, and that's hard to actualize in the real market. So my advice is keep your pocket puts, and I might even consider buying some more tomorrow afternoon. I'm gonna see how the day plays, but to me, this is not a market. It's hard to trade oil. Oil rallies, and all of a sudden oil drops $2, and USO is a good way to trade it. The next thing you know, what are you looking at? Looking at a big loss.
Yeah, definitely a much more liquid market than what you'd like for investing.
Yeah, it's not a market. Now the good news, here's some good news. Just all the negative. The good news is we're ending the month, as Chuck said, on Monday or Tuesday. What'd you say, Chuck?
Tuesday. Tuesday is the last day of March.
Yeah, so we're ending the month on Tuesday, which was us ending the month on Tuesday. You get set up for a new month. A lot of things happen at the start of a month, okay? And our pivot number today is right again online, saying stay out from the long side from 66.45. What did we go to the high today? Yesterday we hit nails. What was the high today, Chuck?
We actually hit 47 in overnight trading, but it was really quick. I think since you posted that pivot, we haven't been back up to that area. 41.50 the open, so between 41.50 and 47, 45 spot on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good number, I think. We're still, another thing that's really troubling is we're still inside that 30-minute bar range that happened on Monday, which was 67.45 high, 65.05. Like I posted in TNT, we are above the weekly open, but we're headed down to it, not away from it. And that's not a good sign. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it's kind of interesting, Tom. Put that what you just said in a little bit more clarity. There was 1 minute, 7:05 or 8:05 a.m. Eastern, I think, or was it 7:05? Anyway, it was that 1 minute. We have stayed inside the range of that 1 minute for the rest of the week. It's incredible.
yeah, it really is, and that was on Monday morning. Hello, Monday morning. If he hadn't done that on Monday morning, this market would have been down 3 or 4% minimum coming off Sunday night's look, because it was negative, headed lower, and he came out and did that, and 250 points later from 65.05, which by the way, we're at 64.90 before that minute, and like that, we're at 67.50. So again, I don't know if we're going to go in there like he's talking about and devastate Iran this weekend. I don't know what the story is. I've said all along, this war is not going to be over. The world is not going to be safer until the Farg Island is in our control or the world's control. That's my opinion. I don't think we can live with these guys in charge of it after what we've seen. I think the world's coming to that conclusion.
Yeah, and of course, Carg Island in the Strait of Hormuz, strategic point right there. So let's go ahead, Tom, and get moving here. We've got a session to go through Monday through Friday in the month of March at 11 a.m. Eastern. We join up for Train and Trade. There's always going to be a little bit of a discussion before we get going, as you've just heard. So make sure you come in early to take advantage of that opportunity. Learn a little bit about the market while you're here. Reminder that all trades in Train and Trade, if there are any, they will be tracked at dtitrader.com/TNT. Jonathan does a great job of keeping up with that, and Tom's going to give you plenty of opportunities as we go through. More resources that we've got. Tom's first book, Winning the Day Trading Game. Click there for the link. DTI white paper booklet, specified information. Go ahead and click there to check out that library and let us know if you think anything needs to be added. Tom's YouTube page. We're live on YouTube right now. Hello to all our YouTube listeners. Make sure you like and subscribe. I see Wendy, Caddy, and Z-Fire in there at the moment, and looking for a few more people to come in. Looking at those who have typed into the chat. See a few more logging in right now, so looking forward to hear from you guys as well. DTI important terms to know. Occasionally you'll hear us say something that sounds kind of up there. We like to use a lot of acronyms when we're talking about markets, and sometimes that can get a little bit confusing to those who aren't familiar with the language. So make sure you click on that link to learn some of those professional terms that we might be using. Tom Busby's penalty tape. This is the way we get ourselves back on the beaten path. If you get a little bit lost in the market, or if you haven't figured it out yet, go and give a listen to Tom's lecture here, which was, where was that presentation, Tom?
It was in Newport Beach, California.
Newport Beach, California. This is
it was the first meeting held with the Day Trading Institute or whatever, Day Trading something. I forget the name of the organization. It was a huge organization. A friend of mine started, Richard Rue, and at the time it was the biggest thing going.
Yeah, and a great presentation from Tom, really laying down the structure of what it takes to be a trader. And occasionally, if you get a little bit lost, get a little bit over your skis, go back and listen to Tom's tape there. That's why we call it the penalty tape. Kind of brings you back to the core, gets you back on the beaten path. Options EDU by DTI. Adam has been doing some updates to that site. Apparently made it a little bit cleaner on the front end. So I encourage everybody to go and take a look at that. I'm going to go and take a look a little bit later. I saw Adam post up an update earlier this week. I think that was last night. So that is an ongoing development thing. We're continuing to add to that, continuing to improve it, and we encourage all of you to give it a look through dtitrader.com/optionsedu. Tom's B&N interview. This is Tom's view of the market back in 2008, heading into the financial crisis. Kind of get the view of a trader in that instance. We'd encourage everybody
Chuck,
to
do me a favor. We got more resources, and I think we ought to build a new resource page for other things that we offer, which will help people. So let's build a new one for tomorrow if we can. All the different sites that we use and things like that. I think that, and then I think we'll keep this one and rotate it around. I'm gonna build 5 different pages over the next 5 days of different places that I believe that will help you, with the help of Jonathan and with the help of Chuck, but give you a variety of sources to go to help everybody. Okay, Mark would like to link to the penalty video. If you go back and let him get it, that'd be great.
Yeah, we could definitely put that back on the screen. That is not a problem. And let me see if I can link in the slides here so you can go and view that on your own. I think we should be about done with putting stuff together. So let's put that up there and yeah, click that link, go in, and you can look at those slides at any time. Yeah, and this is not all resources. This is more resources. As Tom points out, if you really want to get everything at DTI, go to dtitrader.com to find out more. We'll have more information up on that website. But yeah, Tom, good idea. We'll switch up those resources slides and show you a little bit more of what we've got in the upcoming presentations. So, gonna put something together probably tonight and have a few more pieces of information tomorrow.
Yeah,
So March,
I think you really should, Chuck.
all right. So March FTD stocks. Let's take a look at those and let's see. I suppose we could click into that. Although Jonathan, anytime you want to take over, feel free. But just taking a look here, the number one thing I'm looking at, and Jonathan's now got the screen, but you can see the VIX up there at the top. Current 2672. That was 11:17 a.m. So just about 3 minutes ago. 2672. Tom, I think by definition 26 is above 20. Still volatile market. And then going down the list, our mainline futures markets, ES, NQ, YM, all showing up below the 3-day low. Not a surprise. Uh, Crude above the 3-day high. Nothing shocking there. You've got gold, silver, and bonds, down, not having a great March. And Tom, a lot of people were confused about gold and silver, but of course they had such a great run up to that point. There was going to be some sort of a pullback, right? And you had talked about the was it the air gap trailing behind us as we were seeing those markets
Air
rise and
pocket.
taking advantage. The air pocket, exactly. So I think you're seeing the results of that. If you were paying attention to Tom throughout the whole rally, when he's giving you the opportunities to make money with those markets going up, he's continuing to say, "There's an air pocket. There's an air pocket. There's an air pocket." And as soon as we flip those and open up March, and they basically said, "Ooh, there's the air pocket. Let's go and fill that up." Gold opened the year at 43.40. They're still above the open of the year. That gives you an idea. As much as those markets have fallen, and they have fallen a lot, you still got gold positive for the year. Silver has gone below the open of the year, so that is going to bring up some interesting things if the market settles down. But yeah, that's not really a big surprise there, although a lot of people were trying to put it together in their heads. But past performance uh, may not necessarily reflect future results, but past performance definitely informs on that. And the past performance of gold and silver and markets like that was so strong that once this thing tipped over, yeah, you got a lot of below the FTD lows. And looking through this sheet, I think what stands out, Tom, are the longs. You go into AMD, right? AMD above the FTD high. Uh, Go down to what is that? City C above the FTD high. We've got is that BTU? Yeah, BTU 3818. And that's it. Was that three longs on the whole sheet?
The state of the market at this time and place.
Well, actually, let me. That was on the stock side, but futures crude. Tom's been talking about corn a lot lately, and corn on the long side. USO also on the long side. That's a crude reflection, and then you've got those three stocks. So BTU C. We haven't really talked much about C City. So that might be an interesting one to take a deep dive on. I might have to go and do a little research on my own if you don't cover it today. But and then AMD, you talked a bit about AMD yesterday, and as you mentioned, kind of musical chairs today, people jumping from AMD over towards Apple. And I'm just looking at Apple still below the FTD mid, which was 263.33, trading what it was 256 on the update, 255.92 right now. So, yeah, not the same market that we were
So do
looking
me
at
a
back in
favor,
February.
or Jonathan, do me a favor, bring up a calendar for March, and let's look at a calendar on that Friday before we went into the Iran war, and let's look at where the E-mini was trading prior to that weekend. Okay, that was that Friday before the war conflict. I remember when I said circle your wagons, and started telling you that a couple of days prior to that weekend. I said I think it might happen this week. And I want to show people the power of the tape reading approach, because and the reason I want to show that to you is to show you how far and why it pays to pay attention when these events occur. So those are the two numbers that we can, you can look at the date and give us the number of the S&P. When we go to a live market, we'll look at it, Jonathan, exactly that date prior to the start of this conflict. I think people ought to see it. Pretty amazing.
The bar I just circled, Tom, and I think you should be seeing the roadmap. Yeah, you are. That bar is the Friday, February 27th, which was the day before.
That's when that's when we made that low below the previous day right there. That's when I started saying, folks, circle the wagon. That was 60. What was the S&P number? 68 what?
Well, I'll tell you that the close on that day was 68.75.
All right, 68.75. Yeah, we were over 6,900 for a while, but 68.75, and we went down to 64.83. Now, Jonathan, I want you to do me a favor. How big a drop from that day to present?
You want, I'll give you a couple numbers. The low, 64.83, was 5.7% below the close of that Friday.
So 5.7% from that sell signal there until we hit a low this Monday at 64.83 over Sunday night to Monday. So that's a pretty good heads up, I would say. Wouldn't y'all? Wouldn't y'all say that's a heads up? And do you have a date when we first put on our first pocket put?
I can tell you that. Just give me a moment. Well, Tom, how about Friday, February 27th, the day we're looking at?
Would you say that's having an opinion, which I did, and taking action, which I did, was at the start of the conflict that happened over that weekend? I think that's pretty good. That's pretty significant if people were listening, okay? And you know, I know a lot of you maybe don't understand or have the way I do things. I'm not irrational when I tell you things. I think it out, but I do it because I am like you. I'm invested in the market. I'm sitting there and I'm trying to make money. And that's why if I give you a trade, there's a rationale behind it. And that's why our results for the yeah, I guess the whole year and March, it really surprised me they were that good. But the point being is that if you keep listening, keep educating yourself, uh, there will be a buy signal where you'll hear me say, folks, it's time to really get long again. I don't know when that's going to be. Nobody does. I don't know when that's going to be. But the point I'm trying to make is I will go in and I will get long, and a lot of the money that you lose because you didn't take action will come back to you over that next run. But that's the bright side of this discussion, is that people been with me a long time know that I'm watching it, and it won't sneak up on me, that's for sure. And I will figure out, how to help everybody at that time. Now, how's the best way for you to know what I'm thinking? Well, Jonathan doesn't work over, at night most nights. He comes every now and then, but he works during the day. Chuck is the closest thing that probably is up as much as I am. Maybe, I don't know, Chuck. You probably go to bed sooner, but the only way that you're going to know where the signal for 2026 to get long is at a timing point, to be in my TNT room. Okay. And I appreciate all the people that's recently joined. And we're about to kick off a new month there, but the TNT room, and he'll put if you want to join and have it, you will get the signal when to get long and whether we're going to press the bet if it goes lower. So we're currently short, and that's what we're doing. But I wanted to make that point because, Jonathan, you should capture that on a slide for future discussions, because when we look back on it and get to October, November, you're going to get tired of me saying, folks, I told you to avoid this sell-off here, and I told you to get long here, and you're going to sit there and go, well, I wish I'd have done it. But don't wig. Don't wig. Be part of it, because that opportunity probably closer around the corner than we want to give it thought. Because that's how you're going to make money in 2026, in my opinion. Any questions about this little discussion we just had? All right, let's go back to the slides, Jonathan. I think that we have done everything possible to educate you, do this train and trade. I mean, some of the subjects we've done are things that we don't ever get to cover because it's been really an idea. Yesterday or 2 days ago, I told you about acquiring stocks with pocket puts. And today, I'm preparing you, okay? I'm preparing you. Ben, you got a spread in there. I would get out of that at the first bounce. That's the way I would do it, okay, on AMD. It broke my 216. That was my all bets off number. And you probably didn't hear that. But that's what I would do. Add a break even or better. I think you get it. All right, 5 ETFs for a rising market, 5 ETFs for a falling market, plus a few more. Take it away, Jonathan. I asked Jonathan to research this for us. All right, crude versus the S&P. Take it away.
Yeah, I'm a big supporter of, don't make things more complicated than they are. And right now, crude is definitely the key market to focus in on. There's a very clear relationship between crude and the S&P. If the crude oil market falls in price, the S&P is going to rise. If crude rises, the S&P falls. We see this taking place every day in the market across multiple different time frames. Daily.
Jonathan, where can they get my crude pivot numbers? One place, right inside TNT.
T-Bus Talk and Trade. And we posted the link a minute ago, and we post again. But we don't always focus this hard on crude oil. Right now, it is the number one market you need to be focused on. So there's a pretty neat thing you can do in Thinkorswim. If you open up a chart on Thinkorswim and you click on Studies, and then you go to Edit Studies, you can search for comparison, and then you can set your comparison market. So let me show you that real quick. Let me get this set up so I can show you that. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going over here to Thinkorswim, and at the top of the chart, should be able to see the top of the chart now. You click on Studies. You go to Edit Studies. Over here on the left, you can type in comparison. All right, I'm going to add comparison. And then from the line item that it adds up here, you want to change the ticker away from SPX. So we'll click the gear over here to the right. We'll type in USO. All right. And then okay. You can see it has our candlestick chart of the SPY overlaid with the line chart of crude oil there. And I'm actually going to click Style and change the chart type to a line for this example. All right, but that's how you add a comparison chart there to your Thinkorswim platform. I figured some of you might be interested in looking at that on your own. But I built a slide here that says if crude falls, the S&P rises. And I've got down arrows when crude's falling, coinciding with up arrows on the S&P, the SPY. You can see the relationship there. And then the reverse of that, when crude rises, the S&P's falling.
That's the importance of pivot numbers, support and resistance for crude. And I'll just give it to you. My crude's got to break 91.40 for the S&P to rise. It's got to go above 95.55 for it to really start selling off. There you go. That's the secret of the day. Free.
Can you repeat those numbers, Tom? 95.55.
Market, if it goes above that, you're going to see the market sell off. If it goes below 91.40, you will see it rise. That's numbers for today.
Thank you. 95.55, 91.40. Set alerts on your platform.
Where else in the world can they get those numbers?
Nowhere.
Only took me 40 years to figure it out.
$95.55, $91.40. My alerts are set now. All right, let's move on. So if crude falls, the S&P is going to rise. How can we take advantage of that? Of course, we've got long the SPY, long the QQQ, long the diamond. If you prefer trading shares, long the DQQ will be a good vehicle for that. And then we have an inverse crude oil, ticker symbol SCO. Now that's leveraged. TQQ and SCO are both leveraged. TQQQ is 3x and SCO is 2x.
And I told Jonathan, make sure that these markets can be traded around the clock. And so this ought to be real helpful if tonight, for example, there's an announcement of a deal, you can go buy that SCO. I'm glad to say I learned something. I didn't know about SCO, but I'll trade it because I know the relationship. Does this help you, us give you this extra stuff? So here's what you got so far. You got the number 95.55. What would you do if it goes above 95.55? Maybe you buy USO. If it goes below 91.40, what do? You buy SCO. That's simple.
Now, I've got a few others here. If crude gets some news and crude pulls off and the market turns bullish, you're going to see XLK and SMH start to perform, in my opinion, very well if that happens. If we get a big turn in this market, these are two key ETFs.
Okay.
Now, what about the reverse? If crude rises and the S&P falls, long USO and long SQQQ, which is a 3x inverse the QQQ. Again, if you like trading shares, the TQQQ and SQQQ are very good markets for that. And of course, short, SPY QQQ Diamond. Yeah, there is Raz, there is a leveraged semiconductor. SOXL is the ticker for that, right? We are live on YouTube, Wendy. Yes, we're live on YouTube. And so you can head over there. Let me just mention this because we don't always mention this, but if you go to dtitrader.com/YouTube, and I'll post a link into the chat, that always gets you to the YouTube channel. And if you click on the live tab, all right, that's where the replays are found. Click on the live tab. All right, so when you get over there to dtitrader.com/YouTube, click on the live tab. You'll see us live right now. And once we finish today, of course, the live session will go away, but the replay will stay there on the live tab. So that goes for train and trade every day. That goes for Tom's Sunday planning for Sunday night. And that goes for the midweek market update on Wednesday nights. All right, Tom, the next comparison we wanted to do, because it's in a lot of focus as well, is the US dollar versus the price of gold. Now, the US dollar is moving with crude, and it's moving opposite gold and, of course, the euro. So the relationship is if the US dollar is falling, gold's going to rise. And if the US dollar is rising, gold's likely to fall. That's the relationship there. And of course, if the US dollar falls and gold rises, we can be long GLD, we can be long GDX, and we can be long Nugget, which used to be a 3x, now it's 2x leverage, 2x the GDX. Now, I think it's worth saying that these leveraged products are really meant for day trading, not for holding long term. And, some of them have liquid options, like TQQ and SQQ are pretty good, but the majority of them are really meant for share trading. And you can only trade shares overnight right now anyway, so they're good vehicles for that. So long GLD, long GDX, long Nugget. The reverse of that, if you see gold falling, the share vehicle to trade is dust. That's right, John. $DXY. $DXY. You can look at the chart of the dollar on Thinkorswim. Or you can use /6E for the euro, and you'll know that if the euro is rising, the dollar is falling. And if the euro is falling, the dollar is rising. So got that inverse relationship there between the euro and dollar. So anyways, DUST, D-U-S-T, which is 2x inverse of GDX. And of course, if gold's falling, we can just simply short GLD and short GDX. So just as a review, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 markets for a bullish, 6, 7. 7 markets for a bullish. Crude oil falls, market's going to rise. There's 7 vehicles there you can add to your watch list.
Can you put it out on one slide where I can take a picture of it? I want to set up a watch list for those on my roadmap, and that way I have my numbers right there with me with the tools inside the roadmap. Can you do that, Jonathan, where I just take a picture of a slide with everything bullish on the left, everything bearish on the right?
Sure will.
I don't know about you. I like things concise that way where I can print it off and then I can use it quick if I need it. Because I can watch crude to know what action to go one way, and I can watch gold to know one action to go either up or down. Y'all like that idea of getting one slide where bullish bulls on the left, bears on the right, symbols? I say I'm always thinking as a trader how to streamline how to go where I need to go when it's time to go there.
All right, so we got crude falls, S&P rises. There's your bullish stocks on the left and your bearish stock on the right. Crude rises, S&P falls. Actually, let me go back to this slide because we've got to add in some more. Let's see. I'll say TQQ right there. SQQQ right here. Now, if crude rises and the S&P falls, you got USO bullish, SQQQ bullish, and then bearish, you got all the others. SPY, QQQ, diamond, TQQQ. XLK, SMH. So here's slide 1 if you take a picture of it.
Yeah, let me do that real quick.
And yep.
Okay, got it.
Here's slide 2.
Got it.
All right. Any questions on all this?
Now, what I would do, certain thing you don't have gold. You want to put gold versus gold GDX on the left if gold goes up, and on the right you want to put dust. Was it What was it? SCO? No, SCO was how to short crude if crude falls, right? Okay. SCO. Did you have that on the bearish side?
Oh, I got it on the bull side here, of course. If it rises, you're looking to buy it. Or if
Yeah.
crude falls, S&P rises, you're looking to buy
Let me
it.
make sure I got that. Okay.
And then, I guess I didn't list on the bears. If crude's rising, you're probably more likely to trade USO to the long side. But I'll add it to the SCO to short side just to have it there. I can find my mouse. There we go.
So you sit here and you watch crude, right? Crude's 94.11. You see it's going to be above 95.55. Then you think, where's the best place for you to make money? If crude's rising, you've got a choice right there. Short the SPY, short the diamond, short XLK, short SMH, and then buy. Well, SEO, you buy it, right?
If crude is falling, the S&P is going to rise. So if you want to trade crude directly with shares, you can trade bullish SCO when crude's falling, or you can short USO. So if we just think on the buy side of the market, right?
Yeah.
Just think on the buy side of the market. So totally forget about shorting anything. If crude is falling, that means we can play SCO directly, buying.
I like that play. It's 24 hours, huh, John?
Best I can tell, looks like there's plenty of trade data going on overnight. I've never traded overnight.
Here, let me check and I'll verify it, okay? I'll put SEO in my platform and see if it offers me 24-hour trading. Hold on. Always check it with the platform, right? Most current information. Okay, SCO. Yeah, it's offered 24 hours. So that's something you could buy if crude fell.
Or you can consider buying one of these indices like TQQ, SQQ, SPY, Diamond.
Probably better. Yeah, it just depends.
Yep.
Time of day and that kind of stuff.
And I know I got TQQ on there twice, so let me take that off. Now, if crude is rising on the buy side of the market, you can buy USO directly for direct exposure to crude, or if you want some index exposure to the short side, you can buy SQQQ. Now, if the dollar's falling and gold is rising, forget about the bears, GLD, GDX, and Nugget.
Is that a $ DXY?
Yeah, it is. And I was building another slide here. If the dollar is rising and gold is falling, you want to play gold by dust.
John's pointing out SEO is at its 52-week low. That makes sense, doesn't it? Because crude's been doing what since the conflict? We'll go look at a chart real quick in a little bit, looking and compare each other. But it looks to me like potential play in the future. Now, what I do if I got long USO, I'd put US or SCO beside it and watch them both together. Because you'll see a break, okay? Yeah, if the VIX is above 20, Dave, just write this down. If it's above 20, you're in market turmoil state, above 20. That's it. Right now, the VIX, if you look at it, is at 26 and a quarter. We're in market turmoil. Have you noticed I'm not putting out a lot of trades right now? Why do you think that's the reason? Fix is because I'm smart. Yeah, it's in market turmoil states. Always tighten. Circle the wagons to me means hold on to what I got, wait for the next wind to grow it. Don't lose it during a stage that the odds are against you. You actually get to see it with me in real practice because I'm putting real money on the line. And I don't like to lose like anybody else does, but I like to be smart. It's okay to lose if I'm smart about it, but when I'm dumb about it, I have to slap myself. Anyway, Jonathan, I think we hit a home run with this today because it helps people, helps me. You know, I learned a few things. Now, let's go live and put SCO, put a daily up there, SCO and USO side by side.
Okay, just getting that going here.
And Tom would like, and I agree, add that DXY to the 24 or the ticker. I think it'd be good to follow that. All right, so this is USOs on the left. And if you go up there, it's about 15 bucks when the conflict started, and it's coming down because crude has risen. Crude was down about, it looks like it's about 80, 79, 80 when this conflict started, and crude's been up. So there's two very side by side, okay? Doesn't mean if the numbers I gave you on crude happen, you can't go in there and play SCO. If we broke 91.40, then I would buy some SCO. If we break 95.55, I'll consider buying USO. That's the way you think about it. That was good, Jonathan. And one last thing we're going to talk about, put treasury bonds on the left and TLT on the right on the daily.
Okay. There we have it.
These two are two stocks, pairs of stocks I watch. This is why, if you're in the Anchor program right now, you can see that Anchor is, TLT is trending lower, which means yields are creeping higher. And that's what you're seeing in the TLT. That's why Anchor is so valuable, because it moves in very small increments, but gives you an opportunity to buy wholesale and sell retail. That's Anchor. And that's probably one of the best places you can pick up some coin when it sets up.
Yep, we love Anchor.
All right, John, that's all I wanted to cover. We covered a lot. See, we took an idea, Jonathan, and we really expanded it into the train and trade. And I think they got a bunch out of it.
Yeah, when you first told me what you wanted to cover today, I was thinking, man, we're gonna have to stretch that out some. But I really enjoyed it. I think this has been one of the more useful sessions that we've held for everybody. Direct to the point.
I know it has for me. You know?
Lots of great feedback too in the chat. So thanks everybody for chiming in.
Right.
Well, the big focus, of course, in the markets has been all the volatility, Tom, and I know everybody's tired of it. This is a slide that says, "Are you tired of all the volatility?" And I know everybody, if we asked them to type yes or no, they would probably say yes. Well, we want to get a trade on your side that historically has very low volatility, very, very low volatility. And we developed a trade, a system that's really perfect for a low volatile market like TLT. Tom calls it buying at wholesale and selling at retail.
Let me explain that, because let's say that TLT is 80 cents in the money and I can buy it at 60 cents. I make money if TLT in that situation, if I've got a call, goes up, or I make money if it just stays where it is. 2 out of 3 things can happen. So you instantly start out at 60+%. Then we threw some other factors to get it up to 80%. This, folks, is something that everybody ought to be using every day, looking at it. That's buying wholesale, selling retail. Hope that explained it.
Yeah, and TLT is a perfect vehicle for that. Not every vehicle, not many vehicles actually are perfect for that system. TLT is. And so we have a system called Anchor Trades. This is a briefing on Anchor Trades. I went back and looked, Tom, since we launched the program, we've had 10 wins and 2 losses, which is exactly what we expected from everything we did before the program went live.
That basically means if you bought this program, followed the signal, you doubled your money, risking $1,000. That's what that means. Approximately.
So there's 5 main reasons why, we think you should be involved with Anchor Trade. Let's go through them real quick. It's designed to work in all different market conditions. It worked when the S&P was trending higher. It's working when the S&P is trending down. It worked when the VIX futures were below 20. It's working when the VIX futures are above 20. So it's really designed for all market conditions, and that's showing out right now. Anchor Trades has been incredibly consistent. We just showed you that 10 for 12 since the program went live. It was over 80% before that. So historically, it will run near 80%. And you won't really hear Tom talk about anything if it's not 80% accurate. That's what you'll learn with working with Tom. He strives for about 80% accuracy. 4 out of 5 trades are winners. You got a winning system. That's what Anchor is. Number 3, this is not a set it and forget it type deal in terms of just risking all your premium. A lot of people trade options. They say, I'm going to buy this option for $3 and I'm either going to win on it or I'm going to lose all the money. That's not what we do here. So we have very strict loss mitigation techniques. It is extremely easy to follow, even for beginners. All right. If you know how to click your mouse and get in and out of trades, you can trade Anchor. It's also very friendly for small account holders. The average trade cost on a 1 contract basis is only about $80. Sometimes a little more, sometimes $85, sometimes $75. But it's very, very cost friendly. And here's a few more stats. So, like I just mentioned, small account friendly, that's a check.
Is this making sense to everybody that wants to make money? What he's doing here, is this making sense? You're here to make money, and we're hand delivering a method for you to make money. And that's what these numbers are justifying, crazy market or smooth market. This is a program you ought to be part of. It'll erase a lot of your sins when you got a money-making system like this that easy to follow. You don't have to stare at a screen. You can do it right at 12 o'clock when the signal comes. David F. said, I signed up to first. David, are these accurate numbers? David signed up the first day it was offered. Just type that in there. He said they're very accurate. Then you add my master class, you expand it, right?
That's right. We do have master classes. So we teach you in the master class our main way of trading Anchor. And Tom teaches you another way to get even more signals out of the trade. So, it's really your choice. How often do you want to trade?
When you want to trade.
A little bit of how it works. We give you a dashboard each day. You get an idea of what trading levels we're looking at. All right, what's going to tell us to go long? What's going to tell us to go short? We tell you the market bias. So, are we closer to triggering long or are we closer to triggering short? So you get that bias, first off thinking, should I be thinking about buying TLT options or should I be thinking about call options or should I be thinking about buying TLT puts? Then we give you a trade probability. So it'll say neutral if it's not going to trigger at all. It'll say very high if it's very likely to trigger. It'll say low if it's possibility of triggering but not likely. So pretty cool little dashboard we give you. And then the actual trade alert looks something like this. This was a recent bearish trade. We bought a bearish put spread. We got an 80 cents. And out at 97 cents. So if you're looking for exact trade details, the Anchor system gives that to you. It doesn't just say buy, this or short that. It gives you the exact date. It gives you the trigger price when the alert happens. It gives you the exact expiration date. It gives you the potential return on investment. So you can decide, all right, does that look like something I want to be a part of, or do I want to pass on this one? All depends on the setup. It gives you the exact option detail and what we're trying to buy it for or less. And then, of course, target and stop. It all takes place in an automated Telegram channel. But automated is really a bad word for it because, yes, the signals are automated and that you get a dashboard viewpoint every day with the numbers and you get the trade details automated. But after that, you get a lot of feedback from us on what's happening in the bond market, how to get more out of the trade than what meets the eye from just your automated signals. So you get all that inside the private Telegram channel. And the link to join is dtitrader.com /anchor, Tom, dtitrader.com /anchor.
Any questions about this? That's a year, right, Jonathan? It doesn't say, but it's for a year.
That is for the year. A very low price that I thought the team was going to change, but they haven't done that yet. So take advantage. dtitrader.com /anchor.
Jonathan did a real good job there.
We did just have a signal come out. You can see what I was telling you, that trade probability says medium. So it's not likely to, in the market bias says neutral. So we're not likely to trigger today. So, don't spend time watching a market that is not offering up an opportunity to trade today. So we really don't have to. I'll keep an eye on it, of course, in case we get a big move in bonds, but not likely to have to trade today. So that's what we're looking at today. You can see the threshold numbers above 86.59 or below 86.13. And I can't stress enough that when you join Anchor, make sure you go through the master classes and you can send me kind of emails that you want, row@dtitrader.com. It is really a fantastic trade. It's nothing that's going to typically move very, very fast at all. So there's not really much stress that goes on in the trade. In that instance, especially in this market that's just back and forth in the general market that you're trying to trade, probably not much of that going on. So get joined at dtitrader.com /anchor. You learn how to buy it wholesale and sell it retail, as Tom says.
And one last request, if y'all have any friend that wants to get this kind of information, Jonathan, they can send what's the link for them to join us here on Train and Trade?
Go to dtitrader.com/YouTube is the best way to join us every day. dtitrader.com/YouTube. And better yet, you can join Tom's free Telegram channel, which I believe, and Adam can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's dtitrader.com/tbuzztv. Before I post that link, let me just go check it out and make sure that website is still active. dtitrader.com/tbuzztv.
With Anchor not setting up today, that's a great day to join.
Yep, gives you an opportunity to get joined and go through the master classes and learn
Yep.
how to trade.
That's the way it works. Thanks for your attention. I'll see everybody at 1:30. John, tell them tomorrow's schedule. Do we set tomorrow's schedule? Make sure everybody knows when it is.
Yeah, at 11 a.m. for tomorrow's training trade, we're going to have a session focused specifically on Anchor and Genesis and Orion and Sunrise. So it's focused in on all four of our automated systems here at DTI. That's tomorrow's focus at 11 a.m. Eastern time.
And we'll review all the lessons of the week, where you'll have a snapshot recording for all that stuff. You want to watch it again, we'll do that too. That's our agenda for tomorrow. Hope you can make it.
And of course, we'll finish out the week tomorrow with live trading with T-Buzz at 1:30.
And live trading today, right?
And live trading today at 1:30. That's right.
Yeah, Dave, we'll go 2 hours more, hour and a half. We're going to accomplish our objective. I want to make sure people understand what they got when it comes to automated systems. That's number one. And number two, I want to go through the lessons of the week. We had some great ones, and make sure everybody has a video that they can go watch with the lessons of the week. Sort of a review summary. John, that's for you.
Let's see. Bruce, there is no Liz bonus today. Bruce asking about Liz. And Rosalind, there's the home study course is sent out every Friday afternoon. So after the market closes, we'll send out the home study lesson for the week. Should have got last week's lesson that Friday afternoon, right? Every Friday afternoon, we send out a lesson or two for your weekend study. The replay for the day, James, go to dtitrader.com/YouTube and click on the live channel. Click on the live tab, excuse me. Let me type this out. For a replay of today's session, I'll say for all training trades. Go to dtitrader.com/YouTube and click on the live tab. While you're there, like and subscribe if you like what we do. Enjoyed it this morning, Tom. I'll see you at 1:30.
Be back.
I'm going to play a replay of an Anchor trade, a replay of Tom talking about Anchor trades from a week or two ago. I'll cue that up in just a moment.